Today I'm making the Cowgirl design. So I have my hooded towel section ready to go on the hoop. This is right sides together, folded in half, meeting in the middle. And I just put some temporary spray adhesive, not too much, and then using the guidelines in the hoop, I just stick the towel down one side first, then bring it across, so it's all nicely stuck down, ready to stitch the design, which is ready to go. Okay, so we're ready to start stitching the Cowgirl. I've got the first thread in the needle. I'm going to send the needle down into the machine to bring up the bobbin thread through the machine, sorry, through the towel. That's caught it. Usually takes 2 turns on average. So that's the bobbin thread up and through, and then I just start stitching the face placement line. Just stop the machine to snip the threads. That will just stitch that. You probably won't be able to see the stitching because it's very light in colour. I'll just slide the hoop out slightly, and as I've done with others, I've got the fabric that I'm going to use, which I have ironed Heat and Bond light onto. So I've got the shiny backing, and I'm just going to place that over the lines, making sure that it covers all areas of the stitching, so that it will be caught up in the stitching for the placement. And then just get my handy little travel iron just to give it a light pressing to get the fabric to stick to the towel, to avoid puckering in future. So that's that done. Push it back onto the hoop, and now to tack down. The next step will be the hair placement line, which I'll come back to shortly. So I've stitched the placement line for the hair. I'm actually making this for my gorgeous great niece Grace, and she's a lovely red head, so my Cowgirl is going to have lovely red hair. Not quite the same colour as Grace's. Grace's isn't quite as red as this, but I wanted her to have red hair. So again, just press down to get that in place. Put it back to the hoop, and then stitch, tack it in place. I did the placement line for the hat, and I've now stuck it down. I'm actually using leatherette, so I haven't put Heat and Bond on the back of it because it's not going to pucker, doesn't need it. What I have done, just to keep it in place as I go along, just some masking tape, which I can just tear away once I've tacked it down. So I'll tack it down. And then come back when that's finished. The hat is now tacked down and it's now time to actually stitch it fully with the satin stitch edging. So that will start, and after that it will be the hair. We'll come back when the hat's done. The hat is now finished and it's time to sew the outline around the face. So here we go. And we'll come back to that after. Okay, I've done all the fill designs and the rope around the hat, and I've stitched the placement line for the hair. I've put masking tape either end of the placement line, just because when you put things over it's easy to lose the start and finish. I just find it helps me as a guide, and it can be easily removed afterwards. I usually use terry toweling for the hair for designs, because I have a domestic machine and it does struggle with wool, and I do like quite a nice thick plait. However, with this design, the Cowgirl, she actually does have woolen hair in the film, so I want to keep it as true as possible, so I'm going to use wool. Sadly I can't use as much as I'd like to. I would like to use a lot more, but I know what my machine can and can't handle. I have changed to a leather needle to get through the wool. That's the best I can do. I slow my speed down and then I pray. So what I do is I've done a tidy ponytail, I suppose you could say, and what I want to do is I've done it too low, so that's it. So now what I want to do is lay this across the machine. I have the placements, guys. I hope you can see that they just help me keep that in there. And then what I do is get my trusty masking tape and lay it directly across the placement line. So I will be stitching on the masking tape, and I pull it as tight as I can to flatten the wool as much as I possibly can. I don't like to put lots of layers of masking tape on, because it's just more for the machine to have to try and sew through, and it's more to have to try and remove afterwards. So I press as much as I can and slide it under the machine, and let's hope that it behaves. So let's stitch across the wool. As I say, we're going nice and slowly. You know, obviously lots of ladies out there have lovely multi-needle machines or industrial machines that can handle lots of wool, and it must be lovely. But I'm content that I can actually do any of it, to be honest. Now I can see that it hasn't caught all the wool under there, so I have literally dragged that across myself. But that's okay, it's only a few strands and I'll just pull them off afterwards. So it's caught them in. Now I want to remove the masking tape before I do the actual satin stitch, because once that goes on it's hard to remove the masking tape. Well, some of it will stay under the satin stitching, which I really don't want. So I'll just remove what I can. Well, all of it really, if I can. Before I do the rest of it. Get every little bit that I can. Sometimes it's handy to use tweezers. That bit's being stubborn, so I'm just going to leave it there. I'm hoping actually, I don't know if it will catch it in there on that next run, but yes, so I'm going to put another piece of masking tape above where the satin stitch will go. I forgot to do that, sorry. Or thereabouts above, just again to get the wool to behave, and again underneath. You may think this is a right kerfuffle and unnecessary, and that's fine. I just like to err on the side of caution. Put that down and start stitching. I may catch some of the masking tape in, but it's not the end of the world if I do. But it looks like it's going to be fairly free. So it's stitching quite happily there, and I will come back afterwards when it's finished and show you how we've got on. So there we have it. The stitch line I did, and then I stitch over in satin stitch. I actually repeat the block again, the last block, just to give me the added security that I know it's going to stay fast. So all I need to do now is plait it, cut the ends, tidy them up, snip all the odd bits, and then it's just a case of sewing the towel together. So there we have the Cowgirl, all finished, hair all neatly plaited with her yellow bow, and there she is. Very pleased with that.